So today we're going to study on human psychology and in particular the definition of memory, then what is forgetting, and also about learning. So coming to the definition of memory, can you define me the memory definition?
Memory is defined as memory consists in remembering what has previously been learned.
What are the types of memory?
Immediate memory, short term memory, and long term memory.
Okay, so you said memory plays a very important role in our learning and psychological growth. Through memory of our past experience, we handle new situation. It helps us in problem solving and thinking. So whatever we have learned in the past, we apply that. Okay, in the taking it from the storage. So that is memory. So the definition goes this way: memory is the ability of an organism to store, retain, and retrieve the information when required. Or memory consists in remembering what has been previously learned. So it's an ability of an organism to store, retain, and retrieve the information. So coming to nature of memory, it's special ability of a mind to store what has been previously experienced or learned. It's a complex process which involves factors like learning, retention, recall, recognition, and it's basically the process of memory. It begins with learning or experiencing something and ends with its revival and reproduction. Therefore, memory is said to involve four stages. What are they, Shravanti?
The
Learning or
learning or
experiencing something,
experiencing something, it's a retention, and finally, it's recognition and recall.
recognition, and recall. So, as you said, there are three types of memory: immediate or sensory memory, short term memory, and long term memory. So, memory is the ability to access information in the mind related to past event or experience and divided into immediate or sensory, short term, and long term memories. So, what is whatever information we gather, okay, it is stored either as immediate or sensory memory. uh, in this case we forget typically a second or within 1 second, okay, but in short term memory we forget within 20 to 30 seconds, means it retains a little longer time. And in long term memory, it's that memory which stores information on permanent basis. So what are the factors influencing memory?
Meaningfulness of material, amount of material, drugs and chemical, distraction, and foods and supplements.
So one by one we'll study the factors which influence memory. जैसे meaningfulness of material, like whatever we learn, okay, whatever we see, we learn, uh, it depends on the meaningfulness of that material. For example, if you would have come across a situation and you would have understood the meaning of it, okay, it will retain as memory for a longer time. The amount of material, okay, the amount of exposure, the amount of the material that has been registered in the memory, and also the various drugs and chemicals influencing the memory. See, certain drugs and chemicals weaken your memory. It can cause memory loss, transient memory loss, or even it can lead to forgetfulness, okay. And there are certain chemicals also which can harm memory. So distraction, again, at the time of learning, if there is too much of distraction like a loud music going on, or you're not able to concentrate properly, so then also your memory can just erase, in the sense you're not able to concentrate on what you're learning or what you're experiencing, so the memory can just get forgotten or erased. That is why, we schools, we say, teachers say, hey, concentrate karo beta. So basically you have to concentrate. So distraction can cause lessening of memory. And then the various foods and supplements. See, you must have heard mama saying you take a lot of vitamins, minerals, brain boosters, so that you can increase your memory and learning capacity, right? So yes, there are certain vitamins, minerals, food supplements which actually enhance your brain power and indirectly enhance your concentration and thus enhance your memory and learning. Okay, so the people who are deficient, who are having some nutritional deficiency owing to poor health or poor poverty, they usually lack certain memory boosting factors. Now, coming to age. Age is again a very important factor to be considered, and it influences memory. A child, okay, in the learning age, can grasp better, whereas compared to that a person who is in his old age. Do you think the old aged person will be able to concentrate more?
No.
Huh? No. So maturity also matters, and the will to learn. If you're having that will, that determination, firm will, I have to learn, then all you can learn it with all your concentration, and it will be retained as a long-term memory. But if you're not having that firm determination, and you're like having no interest to learn, then whatever by force I try to teach you also, it'll just go away, disappear with time, right? Because you're not giving your jan pran in learning, right? Now, coming to interest and attention, that's what I was trying to tell. You have to put in a lot of interest, you have to show that passion for learning, then concentration will automatically enter, and you'll be able to attentively listen and learn that knowledge, or gather that information, which will be retained, registered in your brain as long term memory. And repeated practice or repetition also can enhance your memory and be registered for long term. Now, coming to intelligence. Yes, definitely here it matters about the IQ. There are children with low IQ, and there are children with high IQ. So intelligence factor really matters, and in memory and learning, in forgetting. So this is one of the important factor. Now, coming to rest and sleep. Yes, everybody needs sufficient 8 hour sleep, okay, to stay healthy, and the brain to function normally and in a healthy way. And the body also needs adequate rest. So rest and sleep are again the very important factors influencing memory and learning. Coming to medical condition, a few children who are born uh, mentally retarded, they may be having problems with learning or retaining their memory. And the last, but not the least, one more factor, what I was saying, is emotion. Emotion means that bhav, that sentiment, the passion for learning. Okay, emotion. See, if you attach a sentiment or an emotion behind something, okay, to learn, then automatically you will fall in love with that subject. For example, if I tell you, Shravanti, you love painting, so see, this is about something to do with painting. Then, since you have a passion for painting, so invariably you become more emotional, and then you involve into your subject more, emotionally, and then that passion will help you to attentively learn, and it will be retained in your memory for longer duration. So these are the factors. Can you just tell me one by one what are the factors influencing memory?
Fact,
Meaningfulness of
meaningful means
material, amount of the
amount
material,
of the
drugs
material,
and
drugs
chemicals,
and chemicals,
distraction,
distraction,
the food
the
and
food and
supplements,
supplements,
age,
age,
maturity, the
maturity,
will to
will to
learn,
learn,
interest and
interest and
attention,
attention,
intelligence,
intelligence,
rest and
rest
sleep,
and sleep,
medical
medical
condition, and
condition, and
emotion.
diffusion, emotion.
Not diffusion, emotion. Okay,
Emotion.
now coming to theories of memory. So basically, theory of general memory function is something like computer, how we feed in, it's something like that. Encoding, storage and retrieval. So theory of general memory function, and you have another information processing theory. Okay, so if we look into this theories of memory, it's divided into encoding, storage and retrieval. So, encoding is the process of receiving sensory input and transforming it into a code which can be stored. Just like in a computer, na? When you it receives certain sensory input and then it transforms it into a code, binary code. You have learned na? Binary digits, computer language. So it can be stored. Okay, and then coming to storage, it's a process of actually putting coded information into memory. So, see, it's something like CPU na, does this function. It's saving the information for future use. So storage is a process of actually putting the coded information into memory. Then retrieval. Retrieval means it's recovering the stored information. Okay, so it's a process of gaining access to stored coded information whenever we require it, whenever it's needed. So tell me, what are the theories of memory? Theory of general memory function, how does it act? Encoding,
Encoding, initial recording of information,
storage,
storage information saved for future use,
then retrieval.
retrieval, recovery of stored information.
Okay, now information processing theory it was basically developed by Richard and Richard in 1968. According to this theory, memory starts with a memory input from the environment. This input held for several seconds in a sensory register. Then information that attended passed into short-term memory where it is held for 20 to 30 seconds. Okay, then the information that is practiced again and again, rehearsed, by then is passed along to LTM or long term memory. So, the information which is placed in long term memory will be organized into categories where they may reside for days, for months, years, or for a lifetime. When we remember something, representation of the item is retrieved from long term memory. Okay. Now, information processing theory. So here we have attention, rehearsal, and retrieval. Basically, attention is the sensory memory. Rehearsal, we are converting short-term memory by continuously rehearsing into long-term memory, which can be retrieved later on. Okay. Now, method of memorizing. Can you tell me a few points how to memorize?
Whole and part method, space and unspaced method, repetition and practice,
Okay.
making use of the principles association, grouping in rhythm,
Recitation.
recitation, utilizing as many senses as possible,
Then
pulling it all together,
Then
funnel approach, acronym.
and acronym. So basically the methods of memorizing are either you can memorize the whole thing or in part method. Okay, so usually what we do during exams or during learning something new, a formula or something or a poem, we just take that information or the data and then we keep on repeating. Either we read the whole poem, okay, many times, or we divide it into parts and then we tend to by heart it, memorize it. So it's either done it in whole and part method, whole method or in parts. And another way is space and unspaced method. Okay, first we'll read something, then again after some time again we'll recollect, again we'll read. Okay, so space and unspaced method. Then repetition and practice continuously. मम्मी एंड पापा और एंड टीचर्स कहते हैं ना, सुबह उठ के डेली पढ़ाई करो, रिसाइट करो, लाइक वैदिक मंत्रास हाउ दे यूज टू रिसाइट in previous days in Vedic times. They used to wake up early morning in Brahma Muhurtam and start reciting Vedic mantras for hours together. So that's how it got memorized and registered in their brain as long term memory. The same way, even we children, while the child is growing and going to school and learning so many subjects and vast methods of and learning maths formulae and stuff like that, teachers and parents, they insist the child for getting up in the morning, waking up in the morning and start rehearsing, practicing, reading, memorizing daily for hours together. So that is a repetition and practice. So continuously practice makes man perfect, right? So continuous repetition. Just one ones are one, two ones are two, nine ones are nine, nine, 10 ones are 10. Like the tables we used to by heart, na? तो इससे क्या होता है, तो कंटिन्यूसली रिपीटिशन करते 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 प्रैक्टिस मेक्स मैन perfect. It gets registered in the long term memory. So repetition and practice. Then coming to making use of the principles of association. So just say for example, whenever we are learning something, we come to know, we use the principles and associate with it. Okay, so that way you can learn it faster. When you associate with certain principles and learn, we can learn faster, memorize faster. Then grouping and rhythm. So when you group it and learn it as a rhythm, then also you can memorize. Then reciting, recitation, daily reading, reciting. Then utilizing as many sensors as possible. So jitna ho sake utna you continuously keep reading with full concentration. So all the when you attentively read and recite, then that information will be stored in sensory as sensory memory. Then pulling at all together means we are like pulling all the data at together and then gathering all that information together and memorizing. Then another is the funnel approach and acronym. See, basically use of mnemonics. For example, whenever we learn any vast paragraph or points to remember, we just put it in mnemonic form. For example, Vibgoil. What is Vibgoil? They are the seven colors of the rainbow. What are the seven colors which is there in the Vibgoil word?
Orange, red,
Violet.
blue, violet.
V for violet, I for indigo, B for blue, G for green, Y for yellow, O for orange, and R for red. So these are the mnemonics. So acronym, funnel approach. So these by applying mnemonics, we or by associating with some stories or एक छोटा सा कहानी बना के उस कहानी के साथ associate करके. So these are the methods where we can memorize and retain the memory for longer time. Okay. So now coming to so with this we end with the memory. Let's come to the next chapter, that is forgetting. So what is forgetting? Tell me, Shravanti, what is forgetting?
Forgetting is the
Loss.
permanent or temporary, of the ability to recall or recognize something learned earlier.
Very good. So it is just the ulta, opposite of what we learned. So memory is remembering something which we learned, and forgetting is forgetting, ability to, failing to recall.
Forgetting
Failure
is
to
failure
recall.
to retrieve information from what is
That is what.
already learned.
So you are failing to retrieve or recall. अरे वो मैंने पढ़ी थी ना वहाँ, वो याद नहीं आ रहा है. We say na kabhi kabhi. So that is forgetting. It is the loss, or it can be transient or permanent. Okay, temporary or permanent, of the ability to recall or remember something which we have learned earlier, recognized earlier. Okay, or forgetting is a failure to retrieve information from what has already been learned. So what are the types of forgetting? Natural forgetting and
Natural forgetting and abnormal
abnormal forgetting. What is natural forgetting?
Natural forgetting. Forgetting occurs with the time in a quite normal way without any intention of forgetting.
Yeah, so forgetting, it naturally we tend to forget with time, and we don't even have the intention to forget, but we invariably tend to forget. So that is natural forgetting. So what is abnormal forgetting?
Person deliberately tries to forget something impression.
So if you would have had a very bad past or a painful past or something which you don't want to remember, and you're forcibly wanting to forget. So a person deliberately he tries to forget something. Okay, that is called abnormal forgetting. Okay. So what are the causes of forgetting?
Inadequate impression at the time of learning.
Yes. So if you're not able to make an impression in your memory at the time of learning. It usually happens when you're distracted, when you're not putting in your full attention or concentration. So then this can lead to quick forgetting. Then any other reason?
Lapse of time.
Yes, with long time you have not been remembering that point or that person or that that topic. So with time we tend to forget. Then any other cause of forgetting? Interference of
Interference of
association. For
association.
example, you're working, you're learning or acquiring some information with associating with something, okay? And you're not able to interfere with that association for long. So then we tend to forget. Okay. Then what is rise of this is again an important cause of forgetting. Rise of emotion. So हम कभी कभी we tend to get in emotional, uh, there is a rise of emotion for a new thing, and we forget the old thing. Okay. So poor health and defective mental state. A person who is having some abnormal mental condition, like mentally retarded or some defective mental state, or a person who is nutritionally undernourished, poor health, so they can also lead cause they also have forgetfulness. Okay. The people, they tend to forget very fast. And people who do not practice, rehearse, or adequately repeat at the time of learning, so they also tend to forget what they have learned quickly. That's why the key to remember is hamesha you have to repeat, practice, rehearse. So practice makes man perfect, we read na. So if you don't repeat, rehearse, or practice adequately, then it can cause forgetting. So these are the causes. I'll repeat again. So inadequate impression at the time of learning, with time, lapse of time, the interference of association, rise of emotion, poor health and defective mental state, inadequate repetition or practice of learning material. So these are the causes of forgetting. Now again, what are the theories of forgetting?
Decay theory, displacement theory, retrieval failure theory, interference theory, and repression theory.
Right. So one, first is decay theory. So, decay theory is if you don't use it and kept in the memory for very long time, with time it tends to decay, or it tends to get erased from the memory. So, this is decay theory. What is displacement theory? Supposing we are remembering something, and later on we learn something new, or we are facing something new. Every day we are learning or we are seeing some new information. So with time, the older information or the older data in the memory is displaced by the new information. So that is displacement theory, and so the older memory is forgotten. Now retrieval failure theory means we are not able to recollect or remember what we have learned. So that is a failure of retrieval or remembering, I mean failure to remember, that theory. Okay. Now coming to interference theory, supposing we do not correlate or associate with something while learning with attention, so that time also we tend to forget. Repression theory, so by force we want to forget something, maybe it would have been a painful or a very healthy, or something which we don't want to remember, so we tend to forcibly forget that. Okay. So these are the theories of forgetting. See, decay theory, disuse theory. So if I just quickly explain you what exactly is decay or trace decay disuse theory, it tries to explain why forgetting increase with time. The neural trays which are formed in the brain at the time of learning are decaying due to lack of use. So such fading or decay could be the result of normal metabolic process of the brain. If we do not use a particular memory trace, it becomes out of use and gradually fades. Now coming to displacement theory. Displacement theory explains that in a limited capacity, short term memory system, forgetting may occur through displacement. That is, when the system is full, the oldest material in it would be displaced or pushed out by the new incoming new information or material. Now, coming to retrieval failure theory. So, according to this theory, memories they cannot be recalled. We are not able to remember because the correct retrieval cues are not being used. Okay, the role of retrieval cues is demonstrated by the tip of the tongue phenomena. Sometimes we say, no, Arey, it's there in the tip of my tongue, yeah, but I'm not able to tell the name. So that is how it happens. The retrieval failure theory, no, sometimes it's like we know this particular name, it's just at the tip of my tongue, but I'm not able to tell it. So that's called retrieval failure theory, or the tip of the tongue phenomenon, in which we know something but can't retrieve it at the particular moment of time. Okay, so in exam also we know that answer. If we're not getting that answer, yeah, I left that question. So that is retrieval failure theory. Now, coming to interference theory, according to this, we forget things because of interference. That is retroactive and proactive. So, in retroactive, what happens? The new learning interferes with old learning and it's displaced. Okay, the new old learning gets displaced due to new learning. Then, proactive interference may old learning interfere with the new learning. Okay, in retroactive, the new learning will interfere with old learning. In proactive, the old learning will interfere with the new learning. Okay, and motivated or forgetting. Motivated forgetting or repression theory. So emotional factors also play an important role in forgetting. Repression theory holds that we forget because retrieval of memories would be painful to the person. Supposing someone would have gone through a very painful experience or a painful past, so they don't want to recollect that again and again, so they want to forcibly forget it. So that is called repression forgetting. Okay, so with this we come to the end of forgetting. Now the next topic is about thinking. Shravanti, do you have any idea what is thinking? Can you define thinking?
Thinking is a process of the brain involved in processing information, such
Louder.
as when we form concepts, engage in problem solving, and make decisions.
Yes, very good. So, thinking is a complex mental activity during most of our waking hours, and even when we are asleep and dreaming, we are thinking. It's a process of the brain involved in processing information, such as when we form concepts, engage in problem solving, and make decisions. So, what are the types of thinking, Shravanti? Louder.
One, perceptual or concrete thinking. Second, conceptual or abstract thinking. Third, reflective or logical thinking. Fourth, creative thinking. Fifth, critical thinking. Sixth, control thinking.
Very good. So, types of thinking are perceptual or concrete thinking, conceptual or abstract thinking, reflective or logical thinking, creative thinking, critical thinking, and control thinking. So, what exactly is this perceptual thinking? See, it's the simplest form of thinking. The basis of this type of thinking is perception. It's a thinking of a very lower order. Such type of thinking is present in animals and children. जैसे कहते हैं ना हम कभी कभी इन लोगों का सोच जानवर के जैसा है, means very low thinking. So that is perceptual thinking. So such type of thinking is present mostly in bachcha party, children, and in animals, because they don't have so much intelligence and maturity to think like older adults. So that is perceptual. They just only perceive. Okay, now coming to conceptual thinking. Conceptual thinking is something which does not require the perception of actual object or events. It's an abstract thinking where one makes use of concept, generalized idea, and language. Okay, for example, Newton's law. Here, you don't have to perceive, you have to just abstract thinking where one makes use of concept. Basically, you know the theme, the concept. Okay, and you have the idea of the subject, and you have a command on that language, and you can think more and more and more on that concept. So that is conceptual thinking. Even Newton's law. what we have learned, remember your favorite third law of Newton. What is it? For every action, there is an equal and
Equal
opposite reaction.
opposite.
So, on this concept, we can again and again, using this concept and the generalized idea, we can frame and we can start thinking and creating stories. Right. Now, coming to reflective thinking. Reflective thinking aims at solving complex problems rather than simple problems. It requires reorganization of all the relevant experience and finding new ways of reacting to a situation. Okay, so mental activity in reflective thinking doesn't use any mechanical trial and error type of effort. There is an insightful cognitive approach in reflective thinking. It uses logic and facts and arranged in an order so as to arrive at a solution to the problem. For example, when we attend interviews, when we answer viva, so we are remembering all that we have studied. Okay, and a complex question or a complex problem ko we are solving, okay, in an interview and we are reflecting and answering. Okay, so these are the reflective thinking. What is creative thinking? It's
Creative
basically it's
thinking.
aimed at creating something new. It's not bound. So supposing I have um, a creative idea. I see an old furniture, okay, it looks very dirty. Someone said, "Arey, let's sell it off." But if you're a creative girl or with a creative mind, what you can do quickly, go to the shop, buy a wood paint and paint it. It becomes a new chair, right? So that's being creative. For example, scientists are creative, inventors are creative, artist is a painter. He's creative. With his creativity, he can transform an old furniture into a brand new furniture, right? So that is creative thinking. A choreographer, he can put his creativity and make a very nice song
Song.
or a story. So basically, this is creative thinking, aiming at something to create. I mean, aiming at creating something new. Okay, what is critical thinking? Critical thinking is higher order, well disciplined thought process which involves the use of cognitive skills like conceptualization, interpretation, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation for arriving at an unbiased, valid, and reliable judgment. For example, judge. अब देखें वो जज को, he will listen, he will listen the stories of both the parties. Okay, he's he's positioned in a higher order. He's having a well disciplined thought process. He's able to analyze the pros, the cons, what made this incident happen. Okay, he is able to involve his and use all his cognitive skills, the concepts, and he is able to interpret, analyze the situation, and synthesize and evaluate the situation, and then arrive at an unbiased, means he is not favoring any party. He is arriving at an unbiased judgment which would be valid and reliable. So that is critical thinking. Okay, now coming to control thinking. Supposing I give you a problem, I give you a puzzle and ask you to solve that puzzle. So, what you do, your thinking process becomes controlled, regulated. All your thoughts keep in close touch with reality and they are all thinking only to achieve that goal of problem solving. That is control thinking. Okay? Now, what is free thinking? Free thinking thought process, here it's allowed much greater freedom of action. There are no restrictions of reality. You're living in a, I mean, you're thinking of an imagination, you're daydreaming, or you're in a dream, you're dreaming. Okay, there are no restrictions of reality. Okay, you don't have to achieve any goal, but it is all about imagination, daydreaming, and dreaming. You're dreaming that you're flying in the sky. You may be dreaming or imagining that you've become a crorepati. Okay, you would have 1 crore rupees in Kaun Banega Crorepati. So this is all imagination. So this is free thinking. Okay, there are no restrictions of reality in terms of time or space or any desire of thinking to achieve a certain goal, but you're just freely thinking, free thought process. That is free thinking. Coming to levels of thinking. What are the levels of thinking?
First, knowledge. Second, comprehension. Third, application. Fourth, analysis. Fifth, synthesis. Sixth, evaluation.
Very good. So the levels of thinking are basically the 6 points that what you said, that is knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So, in knowledge, what we do, we tend to think, we get knowledge about who is this person, why is this person doing this, how is it that this person is able to talk like this or do this, and what is he doing. So, we are thinking, we are gaining the knowledge about all this, or we are questioning, okay, and gathering the knowledge. And comprehension क्या होता है, we are able to compare, okay, interpret or demonstrate. Okay, so either you're comparing, see this person, the differences between the hard water and soft water. So in hard water this is the thing, and soft water this is the, so we are able to demonstrate, we're able to compare, we're able to interpret. So that is comprehension thinking. Okay, application, so we are applying, we are building or constructing. So that is application. Now coming to analysis, here we are able to analyze, create some assumptions, we are able to discover or do a survey. Okay, so that is about analysis or analyze thinking. Okay, now coming to synthesis, so we are having a power or thing, we are having a thought to create something new or imagine something new or solve a puzzle. Okay, so that type of a thinking is called synthesis thinking. Okay, and evaluation, like a judge, he evaluates this situation, he defends or he critiques, and he judges and arrive at a solution. Okay, evaluates the entire scenario, and he is able to give his judgment. Or a person can defend himself, or a critic can be evaluated. So that is a evaluation thinking. Now coming to stages in development of thinking. The first stages, can you tell me, Shravanti, what are the stages in development of thinking?
First, sensory motor stage. Second, pre-operational stage. Third, concrete operational stage.
And
Fourth, formal operational stage.
yes. So let's study in detail what exactly are these stages in development of thinking. So in one, that is sensory motor stage. Usually what happens is at birth until the age of 2 years there is certain memory. Okay, that is the sensory motor stage. I mean, a child who is just born two up to 2 years, it carries a certain memory stage. Okay, that's called the sensory motor stage. At this stage, infants build an understanding of the world by coordinating the experiences of senses such as seeing and hearing with physical motor actions. You've seen a newborn baby first looks at its mom, then at its dad or nurse, relatives. Okay, and it feels the touches, the soft touches of the mother, and basically it sees the world. Okay, dhire dhire, gradually it's seeing so many colors, so many things around it. If you throw a ball at it, it's seeing, it's experiencing that the ball is rolling in front of it, or the rattle is, it's able to hold a rattle or hold on to the mother's milk, or even up to the 2 years age, no? Whatever actions the baby performs, it's able to see and touch and hear, right? So these are the sensory motor actions, or the physical motor actions experienced as senses by seeing and hearing. Now coming to pre-operational stage, that is from 2 years to 7 years. At this stage, children, they begin to describe the world with words and pictures, symbolic thinking beyond the simple relationship between the sensory information and the physical action. Here, children are able to see the puzzle blocks, they're able to see the pictures, they're able to see their, stories, Cinderella, fairy tales, read. And you've seen basically children from 2 to 7 years, they all play together and read so many comics, storybooks, and they giggle, they play, they laugh, and they try to solve, playing with these blocks, colorful blocks and all that. So basically, the symbolic thinking, beyond the simple relationship between the sensory information and physical action, which lasts roughly 2 to 7 years. So in concrete operational stage, which is the third stage, it usually roughly is seen from ages 7 to 11 years. At this stage, children can carry out operations. Child starts to learn principle of nature such as numbers, the mass, length, time. Okay, so this is the concrete operational stage. Here we get to learn so many things even from school, like from home. So there's a concept of time, money, the about the weight, mass, length of an object, the weight of an object, the numbers. So we read all that, right? And the child gets to learn and have a hold on all these topics. So this is the concrete operational stage. Now coming to the final, the formal operational stage, which usually is seen between the ages of 11 to 15 years. At this stage, the adolescents develop a picture of an ideal situation. They can think what kind of parents the ideal and compare their parents with this ideal standard. They begin to prepare for the possibilities for their future. So these are few of the stages of development in thinking. Now, coming to Piaget's stages of cognitive development. Here, Piaget's cognitive development stages may you have stage 1, 2, 3, 4. As I said again, it's the stage 1 may it's from birth to 2 years old. It's called sensory motor thinking. And stage 2 is the pre-operational stage, 2 to 7 years. And stage 3 is the concrete operational, 7 to 11 years. And stage 4 is the formal operational, adolescence or adulthood, that is 15 to what is it, 11 to 15
11 to
years.
15 years.
Now let's think about thinking in relation to language and communication. So basically, let's study about language. See, can you imagine you're communicating to a person without having a hold on your language? Just imagine you don't know you don't know English, and you have to express your thoughts to your friends, either in talking form, in a verbal form, or in written form. Can you do it?
No.
So, language is a means by which we express our thoughts to others, earlier in verbal or in written form. Through the use of language, we can develop complex and abstract concepts. We learn through discussion about the concepts. Okay?
Okay.
So, language is extremely important in the process of thinking. It allows new learning to be communicated to others and saved for future generations. So, we've learned so many facts about thinking. And last but the most important point is we should never overthink. Okay, because overthinking can literally make us insane and can cause a mental breakdown. Positive thinking can actually help increase our lifespan, strengthen our immune system, and lower the rates of depression. The average person has 3,000 thoughts a day. So we should think, we should learn, we should communicate, and we should remember. Okay, so don't overthink, and everything is fine, it will be taken care of. And as much as possible, to retain our memory, we need to communicate, and we need to then we can remember.